2 of the Battle of the Streets competition was held in the farming town of Paeroa. The Yamaha New Zealand sponsored event again brought the best of New Zealand road races to the original Hacksaw circuit. Along with them, beautiful weather and a huge crowd. In a race of comeback of sorts, New Zealand Superbike champion Andrew Stroud made his first appearance on the New Zealand streets, and the best riders from round 1 at Wanganui were there as well. Also making a welcome return to his favourite track, Yamaha's Tony Rees. You've won here before, you put on some amazing shows. What is it going to take to win here again?
Oh, I think the same sort of deal. I think try and really get in there and have a go. And street racing is, you have to be fairly aggressive, and it's probably not the best place to be aggressive, to be perfectly honest. You know, there's nowhere for run off. You know, so yeah, I think a good start is very important. You don't want to be held up in those first 2 or 3 laps. But first race we're starting from the second row, courtesy of not riding at Wanganui, so that might make things a little bit more difficult. But yeah, a good start. You get out there, and passing around here is not easy, but you can say that about a lot of the circuits in New Zealand.
And you are one. Tell us about that.
It's very good. Last year here we didn't have the bike. We just got it here for doing demo laps. We didn't have it as a race bike, and it's very good. Our race bike is another 20 to 25 more horsepower, lighter again, and it's pretty evil after riding the stock one, but yeah, it's a very good bike. It's a good package. In the first 2 rounds of the Nationals, it was working very well. We never got past in a straight line anywhere, and hopefully we can carry that on.
You had a fantastic battle with Craig Sheriffs at Wanganui. I guess he's going to ride the 600 here. You've got the big bike and the long straights. You mentioned it.
Yeah, tight flowing track, but I just got a little squiz at him then. He's not doing slow lap times. He was all over Lance Lowe and sat in behind him, and yeah, sure, my thing picks it up, but you got to stop it at the end of the straight again, and it's not really like a racetrack. You sort of don't get too many straights and stuff like that. It's got the big front straight, but mate, he's going to be in there as well, hey, because Tony Rees is here, Stroudy's turned up, Bruce Anstey. It's just going to be a huge meeting today.
So of all those, who would you say was your main opposition today?
Probably, like, Tony's past champion. He's the man here. He deserves the women's title that he has. But Bruce Anstey, man, everyone saw him at the Nationals and at Wanganui, and he ain't going to lie down, and I definitely ain't going to lie down today, so I wouldn't want to pick it.
I guess the focus for you is the Rob Holden Memorial again. You and Jared locked together on points.
Yep, that's I've always wanted to win that, but I've never ever ridden a big bike, so it's a big ask. Going into it tight on points with Jared is good. Like, Bruce had a pretty bad run at Wanganui, and Tony wasn't there, so I've got to beat him in one race anyway to keep my hopes up. So I'll throw everything into the first race and see how we get on. But we're definitely down sort of 60 horsepower at the back wheel, so it ain't going to be easy. But the lap times we're doing are pretty close, and I'll just have to try a little bit harder without overdoing it.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for bike number 56. That is Craig Sheriffs on the Suzuki. This is the Yamaha Battle of the Streets. Formula Paeroa on the line. The red flag comes up. We're just about set to go. With me once again in commentary is Paul Pavletic, and the boys just getting a little bit toey off the line, Paul.
Yeah, let's watch for this fire-breathing Kawasaki. It's very fast off the start.
Well, we saw that at Wanganui at the hands of Lance Lowe, but this is the onboard shots coming from Jared Love's bike, and he's got a very uncharacteristic slow start, so he's got a bit of work to do. Just up ahead of him, you see the yellow leathers. That's Craig Sheriffs on the 600cc machine. Out in front, bike 99, and that is the Kawasaki, as Paul told you, of Lance Lowe. Second place is Brian Bernard. Nowadays, Paul, you'd have to say the veteran of the motorcycle scene in New Zealand.
He sure is, and I'm wanting to see where Tony Rees is and Andrew Stroud. They had to start from the second row of the grid because they didn't compete at Wanganui, and that's going to be a real challenge for them.
Well, that's right. They started in the second row, and they've got a bit of work to do because Lance Lowe is leading them out of the Yamaha hairpin. In second place, it's Brian Bernard on the Suzuki, and in third place, well, it looked like we might have got a glimpse there of Andrew Stroud. This is the view, though, from Jared Love's machine, 260 kilometres an hour, flat out down the main street of Paeroa.
For us old folk, Phil, that's 150 mile an hour. That's pretty fast. Scary stuff.
That's right. When you say it like that, it just sounds so quick. Lance Lowe doing a fantastic job. Although, Paul, we saw this at Wanganui, didn't we? He gets the hell start and he stays out in the front for the first 3 or 4 laps. There is Brian Bernard, and right in behind him, it is Andrew Stroud. Great to see Andrew Stroud back here on the streets of Paeroa.
Sure is. I think the Kawasaki too, they've been working frantically on it since Wanganui, and they've picked up 15 more horsepower. So that thing is really fast.
Graphic shots coming from Jared Love's bike as they exit the Pirelli hairpin, and then it is a straight shot down Belmont Road. That is the main street here at Paeroa, and already you see Jared Love picking up a rider. That was Craig Sheriffs on the 600. This is the battle at the front of the field, though, and look at that. Andrew Stroud makes it look easy. It looked to me, Paul, that maybe Mr. Lowe was just a little bit wide coming out of the Father's Tavern turn.
Yeah, he was. He left the door wide open, and you don't have to give 2 invitations to Andrew Stroud. He's probably the most experienced rider out there. Shot through like a robber.
So Andrew Stroud in the front. It is Lance Lowe in second place on the Kawasaki. Then it's another Suzuki in the form of Brian Bernard. And then I think you might just be seeing the first glimpses of Tony Rees. So another one that suffered from a back row start or a second row start. Back on board here with Jared Love. That is Bruce Anstey in the red leathers just up ahead as they work their way down the front straight here. Belmont Road, it's known as. Across the Yamaha start-finish line, through the kink they go. Number 1 out in the front, that is Stroud. Look at Lance Lowe just pitching the big Kawasaki Z10 into the right-hander. And right in behind him, it's the veteran Bernard. And then, as I said, we got a glimpse of Tony Rees back after missing out at Wanganui. Great to see him on what he considers his home track.
Well, Tony Rees has probably won this 7 times now, so he is the champion. He is the man round Paeroa. There's no disputing that. He's a little bit rusty. I just feel he hasn't done enough miles this year. The Yamaha's a beautiful bike, so it's totally competitive. Let's see if he can pick up the pace during the course of the day.
Into the hairpin they come once again, and this time Jared Love's a little bit closer, but the R1 Yamaha squirts out of the turn and just puts a little bit of daylight between himself and Jared Love. Speaking of daylight, this guy's put a whole lot of daylight between himself and the Kawasaki in second place.
Well, he's giving him a riding lesson, isn't he? He's all arms and legs, Andrew Stroud. He's 6'2".
Lance Lowe doing a good job in second, but maybe you get the feeling, Paul, that maybe he's just holding up the rest of the pack here, and that's got to be good news for Andrew Stroud.
Yeah, he's doing a bolter. I don't think they're going to catch him. It's just too big a gap. Look at the crowd, enormous crowd here at Paeroa today. It's brilliant.
Well, talking with the officials, they estimated about 15 to 20,000 people here, and that's one of the biggest crowds there's ever been. And why wouldn't they be here? Look at this close quarter racing. Jared Love up the inside of Brian Bernard. He moves up a spot. This is the battle for second, third, fourth and fifth. Number 40 is Tony Rees, the favourite son of Paeroa. 69, Jared Love. 3 behind him is Bernard. Out in front, it's the number 1, the brother Suzuki, and that is Andrew Stroud. Oh, and the big move coming from Tony Rees. Oh, they tangle. And Lance Lowe comes down with Tony Rees.
Wow, I think that was a bit of a racing accident. It didn't look malicious. It just unfortunate. Wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, the racing continues as the yellow flags fly here at the Yamaha Battle of the Streets at Paeroa. We'll maybe get a chance to have a look at that one on replay as this battle for second, third and fourth disappears out of our shot. There is Tony Rees. Now, the good luck is the bike stayed running, so he'll get away again, but I fear that Lance Lowe won't be doing too much more riding because he looked to be limping quite badly when he left the crash scene. Here it is on the replay. Watch number 40.
Slams the door. Bang. Whoa.
Well, I think you called it, Paul. You said it was a racing incident, and I think that's what it was. Maybe Tony Rees didn't quite know that Lance Lowe was just as close as he was on the inside of him there.
And Tony's too. He's in a real hurry to make up some ground because he knows Andrew Stroud's just bolting.
Meantime, back with the racing action as the boys sort themselves out in the hay bales. It is 69, Jared Love out of Hamilton. What a story this man has here, especially at the streets of Paeroa. 5 years ago, he had a nasty, nasty accident here, and without putting too fine a point on it, he nearly died within 15% of losing his life. It's taken him all this time to come back, but come back he has. He was brilliant at Wanganui in the first round of the Battle of the Streets, and I'm sure he's going to be brilliant here as well. 69, Jared Love on the Honda. 3, Brian Bernard in second place on the Suzuki, and then it's the man on the 600. Another one that was brilliant at Wanganui. That is Craig Sheriffs on the Haldane Motorcycle Suzuki.
Well, Jared Love too, he's never looked better. He's just so focused. He's down to 72 kgs. He's sponsored by Shore Slim, and you'd have to say, man, if there's ever an advertisement for a weight loss program that works, that's got to be it. Look at the guy, he's really trim.
Well, I've known Jared for a long, long time, and he had his shirt off when we were talking to him just before the racing started, and I thought he'd robbed Arnold Schwarzenegger's body. He really is ripped. He's lost a lot of weight, and he's really worked on his fitness. He's had a CR450 Honda to play with in the break between Wanganui and now, so he's done a fair bit of dirt riding, and of course that's where he comes from. So not only has he got the aggression up, he's got the fitness up, and he is focused. He wants the Robert Holden Memorial Trophy.
Doesn't Brian Bernard just look so smooth as well? Man, he just doesn't make any mistakes. Brilliant.
Well, here's another guy that doesn't make mistakes. Out of the Pirelli hairpin he comes. This is Andrew Stroud. You know, a lot of people were saying to me before the racing started today, oh, you know, Stroud's not the false he was. Well, he is, because he wins this one easily. Andrew Stroud is back, and he shows the big crowd here at Paeroa that very fact. He wins it from Jared Love in second place. Brian Bernard through in third. In fourth, it's the first of the 600s. That is Craig Sheriffs. And in fifth place, it is John Falwell on the number 38 bike. Great ride too from Glenn Williams. He just blew them away.
Yeah, I looked back after the second lap or so and wasn't really anyone there. What's going on here? But the bike's going great. Just happy with the whole thing really, the Pirelli tyres and it works.
Sidecars now for you, and this is race number 1 here at the Yamaha Battle of the Streets in Paeroa. This is the main street. The Yamaha start line is about halfway down Belmont Road. That is the main street, and a great start there for number 2, Phil Law, but a terrible start once again, Paul, we see for the Lawrence brothers of Auckland, Chris and Richard Lawrence.
Oh no, they must be gutted. They must have a hair trigger clutch or something, because that's twice now.
Yeah, they had problems getting off the line at Wanganui in the first round, and here they are repeating the dose. But number 2, Phil Law and Angus Ravenswood out in the front in the Dave Gooch spray painters Honda. And
I'm looking for the good old boys. Number 74 on the Triumph. They're incredible to watch.
Well, all you got to do really is follow the cheers of the crowd. There they are, number 74, as Paul predicted. This is Bruce Williamson and Carl Benamort. Now, Carl's a brand new swinger to this combination, but man, he did a fantastic job in practice, so we'll look out for him here. This is the Lawrence boys, though, down the back straight here at Paeroa. This is down Marshall Street, and this is the race leader heading down the front straight, down Belmont Road. This is the main road here. Through the kink they come, now down into the Father's Tavern turn, and that'll put them onto Army Street, and they'll go up and over the hill, and then they'll get the cheers of the crowd, which is what the Lawrence boys are getting as we're on board with them, just making up for a bad start. I was talking to them before the racing, Paul, and they thought if they could get off the line well, they could match it with the bigger rigs. Remember, this rig, Yamaha powered, but it's only a 600cc machine up against the 1000s, 11s, and sometimes 1300 machines in front of them.
Well, it'll have to be through cornering speed, because I can't believe that a little 600cc motor with 2 bodies on it's going to match an 1100cc grunter around here.
Well, you get a graphic example of it as they hold the corner speed out of the turn, and down Marshall Street they go once again. Oh, and how about that? Up on 2 wheels. Oh, and I don't think it's gone quite right for them. No, up comes the swinger. That is Donatito, has parted company with the machine, and you can see for yourself they don't handle too well once you lose the swinger. So no. Brian Craig, well, he was left all on his own, and poor old Donna hit the asphalt and hit it hard. Meantime, back with the racing, 27. This is Dave Annan and Phil Duffy. They're currently sitting in second place.
What's the bet? Brian's in for a slap in the pits.
Maybe that's the case. Number 40 just has to get out of the way, but he doesn't quite do it quick enough. That's Stu Prentice from Hawera, and it's the Lawrence boys stalking him as they come up and over the top and down heading towards the S's. This is probably the most difficult part of the track, I'd say, Paul.
Yeah, it is. Look at all the cement dust too. Something's dropped its lunch there and it's really slippery. You don't want to be running over the top of the cement dust. You'll lose traction and end up in the hay bales.
So out onto Marshall Street they go once again. Now count the gear changes.
And there goes a grunter on the outside past them. And that's 14,000 revs as well.
Well, that's right. It's well over 100 miles an hour as they bank it into the Pirelli hairpin. They virtually come down to a halt there on the chairs. It is so fast. It is so different from Wanganui. Okay, Wanganui's got over 50 years of tradition, but Paeroa has got the sheer speed. And, of course, it's got these guys. And what a show they put on. Bruce Williamson at the controls. And how close did he come to the hay bales?
Yeah, the crickets were jumping for cover.
Oh, some smoke there. I wonder if that's a telltale sign. Was it a lock-up or is there some engine problems? That looks like it's the Dave Annan. It is number 27. And look at the way the Lawrence boys from Auckland on the Yamaha 600 has cut into their lead. Stu Prentice hangs with them, though, working their way into the S's once again here at Paeroa. The name, the Hacksaw Circuit, well, it gets that name from that is the shape of the racetrack. If you've ever seen an old junior hacksaw in the engineering school days, you'll know what the shape is, and that is the shape of the racetrack here at Paeroa. Checkered flag comes out, and it is Phil Law and Angus Ravenswood win, but it is second place we're looking at now, and they've picked up Dave Annan, I should say. 74, Bruce Williamson, a lap down, but there is the result. Phil Law takes the win. In second place, it will be the Lawrence brothers from Auckland, and in third, Dave Annan and Phil Duffy. Fourth place was Michael Wooland and Tim, and in fifth, it was Stu Prentice and Darren Prentice. How hard is it to get round here quick on a chair?
A long chair, real hard, especially up over the top through over the hill there. Not much real estate. She's 2.3, 2.4 metres long. It's not as much fun as it looks.
If you can get a good start, you got something for Gus and Phil?
Yeah. Well, they've done a bit of work since Wanganui, and they're doing it. But yeah, I think we've got the measure of them if we can get a decent start and get the front end set up the way I like it.
Welcome back to the Yamaha Battle of the Streets here at Paeroa, and we're watching on the Yamaha start line. This is Formula 2, and well, it pits some of the best riders against each other in New Zealand. Watch for number 56, that is Craig Sheriff, but watch too for 77. Now this season we've seen Andrew Stroud riding 2 classes. We saw it in the road racing championships on the tracks of New Zealand, and now we're seeing it on the streets of Paeroa.
We've got the onboard camera on the Kawasaki of Derek McAdam. This is going to give us some great shots.
So already the battle lines have been drawn. It is Stroud on Sheriffs as they work their way through the S's and down through into Marshall Street. And once again, count the gear changes, well over 100 miles an hour by the time they get to the cross street. And look at the bump. Up and over the top they go, and we saw some very, very close calls in the practice, especially in this class, because they are wringing these bikes' necks. There is no quarter being asked or given. They are right on the limiter. Andrew Stroud in the front, the brother Suzuki. In second place, it is the Bob Haldane Motorcycles bike of Craig Sheriff, and already you see the flags flying in the background, the yellow flags, so someone hasn't made the first turn there or through the kink. We'll pick up on that for you if we can. Meantime, at the front, the action is hot and heavy. Sheriff's up the inside. Stroud, is he going to shut the door? No, he doesn't. Craig Sheriff comes through. We saw him do this last year in the Formula Paeroa races. Well, here he is doing it in the Formula 2.
Well, that was an unusual mistake by Andrew Stroud. He ran up really high and wide, and Sheriff, you wouldn't have to ask him twice. He just dived up the inside and said, "Whoa, that was easy. Thanks very much, Andrew."
Great shots coming from Derek McAdam's Museum Hotel Sawyer Motorcycles machine, sitting in third place for the moment. And now the pressure comes on. Andrew Stroud, the current New Zealand Superbike champion. There is number 9. That's Derek McAdam right in behind him in third. Craig Sheriff is out in the front. He's got the whole family watching here today. I was talking to his mum earlier on in the morning, and she was rapt to be back at a road racing. Her other son, Stephen, is a very accomplished motocrosser. She's been to 3 motocrosses in the last 3 weekends, and she said she's been covered in dust every time. She's glad to be here on the streets for Yamaha and the round 2 of Battle of the Streets.
Well, it's also a tyre wall there too, Phil. We've got the Metzlers out front at the moment, Pirelli in second place.
Well, that's right, and that's very important to the manufacturers, because, you know, the old adage, what wins on Sunday sells on Monday, and it's certainly true in motorcycling. And at the moment, Craig Sheriff and Andrew Stroud are winning the battle on the streets, and they're fighting the tyre war, as Paul told you. Derek McAdam in third. A new lease of life for Derek this season on the Sawyer Motorcycles Museum Hotel team. A teammate he shares is, of course, Bruce Anstey. We'll see him later on in the Formula Paeroa and also the Robert Holden Memorial.
It seems to be the same too for Johnny Hepburn. They hop on these 600s and they just get so inspired because they really are beautiful bikes to ride.
Riding one of those 600s, bike number 51, Ross King from Auckland. Back at the front, though, it is still Sheriff's holding sway. Out of the Pirelli hairpin they come, and down the main street they go. Rocketing down there, well over 200 kilometres an hour. And as Paul said to you before, it doesn't sound like much, but put it in miles an hour, it's close to 130 miles an hour. Flashing past the shop windows here at Paeroa, through the kink, into the Father's Tavern turn, up and over the top they go, into Army Street, through Westpac Corner, and down the other side they come. Then it's Wharf Street, that's the S's, and then it's on to Marshall Street, and that is the back straight. There's a little bit of a right-hander, but if you blink you miss it. They hit it so fast. There it is there, the Woolworths turn. You see it in the background of the shot. The braking mark is quite visible there as this battle continues for first and second. Now it's hard on the brakes, down through the gearbox, into the Pirelli hairpin, and another lap is done and dusted here at the Yamaha Battle of the Streets at Paeroa.
These two guys are similar personalities too. They're both really laid back. They're not hypo, very relaxed riders.
Well, it happens very quickly, just the 6 laps to decide it, but the flag comes out, and it is Craig Sheriff takes the win. In second place, it's Andrew Stroud, and in third, well, pretty much the way they started, Derek McAdam. Fourth place is Hayden Fitzgerald, and in fifth, it is Nick Odermatt. Got to be happy with the Formula 2 Battle of the Streets?
Yeah, definitely. More excited about beating Andrew Stroud than anything, I think. I was starting to get a bit tired. As you see, it's very, very hot, and I'm running out of strength in my arms on the brakes. But when Andrew got in the lead, it sort of got me motivated a bit. And I sort of put a reasonably hard pass on him to get past him, and then it's like, well, shit, I got to get on with it now. Otherwise, he's just going to give me my own back and run away, because he went a bit quicker than I did this morning. so I was not really sure how fast he was capable of going. But yeah, once we got in the front, we put our head down and went quite a bit quicker than we did earlier in the day. So yeah, I'm wrapped.
Well, this will be one of the features of the afternoon here at the Paeroa round of the Battle of the Streets, the second and final round, because this is the Robert Holden Memorial. Now, cast your mind back a couple of weeks, or more than that, nearly a month now, and you'll see that at Wanganui, well, it was the Jared and Craig show. They left tied on points. There's only one race to decide the Robert Holden Memorial, and I know that both of the riders want it. Look for the yellow bike on the left-hand side of your screen. That is Craig Sheriff's, and look for the red bike in the centre of your screen, bike number 69. That is Jared Love. They're the only two really in contention for the overall title, and it's Jared Love straight into the work and straight into the front, and we're on board with him as he banks it into the farthest tavern turn.
Well, look at who's who in New Zealand road racing when you see who's won this Robert Holden Memorial races before. Tony Rees on the Yamaha, he's won it 4 times. Dean Fulton, former Formula 1 champion, he's won it. Jason McEwen, he's also cleaned it up, and Sean Harris.
Well, we should mention Sean Harris, I guess, Paul, because mention him for the fact that he's not here.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to Sean Harris. He's just vanished, and you know, the guy is so good on road circuits. You know, he's won on the Isle of Man as well. Don't know where he is. We'll have to do some research.
Well, he's definitely not here. Maybe we'll see him in the resumption of the New Zealand Road Racing Championships on the racing tracks. For the moment, though, it is one man out in the front. It is bike number 69, and this is Jared Love, originally out of Hamilton. And what a difference a month and a bit makes, because they've put a new engine in the Honda. They've done a little bit of work with the handling, although, as Paul said to you in the Wanganui coverage, the handling was fantastic, but they've tweaked it up a little bit, and he's out in front and in command of this one. The man that's chasing him is Brian Bernard on the Bernard Racing Suzuki, and the man in third place, well, that is none other than the Superbike champion of New Zealand, and that is Andrew Stroud.
Well, Jared Love and Team Honda, they've given this machine an extra 12 horsepower. They've put some high compression pistons in it, a little bit of head work, and man, look at the difference. It's given it a whole lot more punch out of the corners, and that's what he needed. The thing handled, as I've said before, beautifully, but it's starting to wobble a little bit, and I think that's due to the extra horsepower.
Well, we'll come to that. A bit of a move going on here as Andrew Stroud zips up the inside of Brian Bernard. But look at that, Bernard squares it off, and he's going to come out the victor. So, battling lines here at Paeroa as these two battle for second and third. Out on the front, maybe he's gone already. That is Jared Love, but it's the two Suzukis battling it out for the minors. Interesting stuff here, Paul.
Yeah, Andrew's going to have to change his strategy, because Craig Sheriff did the same thing to him that Brian just did. He's going too wide.
Well, this is a battle for second and third. Number 3 is Brian Bernard, and right in behind him it is the Superbike champion of New Zealand, and that is Andrew Stroud. But already gone halfway down the main street, the Yamaha straight, is Jared Love. That's the lead he's got at the moment, and this is the one he wanted to win. But look at Andrew Stroud, hunkered down under the fairing. He's going to have another go at the inside. Will he make it work this time? You bet your life he will. Brian Bernard leaves the door open. Stroud goes through. Oh, Bernard tries to come back, but Stroud shuts the door.
He thought he'd have a go again, didn't he?
Well, he obviously thought that the line worked the lap before. It didn't work this time, so second and third swap, and it's now Stroud into second. Now, I guess everyone will be watching and asking the same question, Paul. Can he reel in the fast disappearing Jared Love? There he is, going through the Pirelli turn. There is Andrew Stroud. So the gap is coming down, but I've got a feeling they're going to run out of laps. Okay, the heat races were only 6 laps, but this race is 10 laps, so there's a little bit more, but I think the pass has just come a little bit too late.
I think you did right, Phil. The gap's just too big. If there's a man in this country that can do it, it's Andrew Stroud, but I just believe it's just too great.
So this battle for second and third, maybe it's not over yet, because Stroud, he makes a huge mistake there, shuts it right down, and Brian Bernard's right on him. And let's not forget the man on number 40, that is Tony Rees, and you heard Paul Pavlidis say he owns this track.
Look at that Yamaha, isn't it gorgeous? It looks like it's got 2 afterburner pipes out the back of it. The new R1 is just gorgeous.
Through the Woolworths turn we go with Jared Love now, hard down on the brakes, right down through the gearbox, back to second gear, and look at the scrap going on behind him, and there is Tony Rees. He wasn't at Wanganui, he was organising the Wakatani Annual Motocross Spectacular. He paid the price for not being at Wanganui by getting second row starts all day, but now he is mixing it up with the big boys. They don't come better than Andrew Stroud and Brian Bernard, and look at Tony Rees.
Just going to back that big Yamaha in there. I think Stroudy's having a little bit of trouble with his brakes too. He's running quite high up onto that corner at the end of the front straight. Let's watch that.
Well, we will watch it indeed as we watch this battle. Second, third and fourth. Remember, Jared Love, well, he's waved goodbye. He said, catch me if you can, and they can't. But look at the scrap going on for the Miners. There is the fast disappearing dot that is Jared Love through the Woolworths turn. And there goes Andrew Stroud. And right in behind him, it's Brian Bernard. And look at Tony Rees. Rees up the outside. He'll try and square the turn off and dive down the inside of Brian Bernard. Bernard's got too much experience. Into his 40s now. He knows every trick in the book. We're on board here with the youngster, though. Well, the youngster comparatively out of this group. This is Jared Love. And listen to the Honda scream as he banks it into the right-hander.
Well, that's right, too. Jared Love, he's 28 years old, and Brian Bernard, he must be 40. What I like about Bernard, he just, like I've said before, he's picture perfect. He doesn't make any mistakes. He could write a textbook on road racing.
Well, we've just come out of Wharf Street and we're heading along into Marshall Street now. Essentially, this is the back straight here at Paeroa. We go back to the battle for third and fourth. Tony Rees and Brian Bernard. Just up ahead of them, it is Andrew Stroud. Rees, though, starting to close them down. Is he going to run out of track? And behind them, the man on the 600. Can't say enough about Craig Sheriff from Palmerston North. What a job he's doing. He's out-muscled, he's out-horsepowered, but he's there. And so too is Rees, down the inside of Bernard. Can he make it stick? No, he can't. Bernard comes back at him.
Suzuki on Yamaha, I love it.
Well, you've said before, Paul, it's great this year that all the brands are represented, and that's what we're seeing here. Now, are we going to see the lap traffic play a part in this one? No problems for Jared Love. He's got a good cushion on his nearest rival, and the last time we looked, that was still Andrew Stroud. Love is just perfection as he works his way through the S's, out onto Marshall Street again. A wheelie for the big crowd. There is Andrew Stroud. There's a couple of the back markers now. Are they going to spoil the party?
I think that Honda looks fine today too, really powerful. You know, that extra 12, 13 horsepower's made a lot of difference to that Honda. Boy, it punches, look at it.
Oh, look at that, and Jared Love has a sneaky look behind just to see where the opposition is. Well, if that's not rubbing salt into the wound, I don't know what is. Young Jared Love nearly died here 5 years ago, but he's come back and come back hard.
He's just incredible, he really is coming of age, isn't he?
Well, he told me that before his big accident here, what it is nearly 5 years ago now, he had all sorts of contracts lined up to go to Australia and further his young fledgling road racing career. I asked him about what he would be doing after this season in New Zealand. He said, I'll be going back and knocking on their doors again. I think I can prove to them that I'm the rider I was 5 years ago. I'm back and I'm better than ever. But so is this guy. And I said it before, Paul Pavlidis, he is closing him down.
He certainly is. The gap's closing. I think it's time now too for Jared Love. He's better than he ever has been at road racing. Time now to make the move. Get overseas. Go to America. Show the Yanks what he can do. Well, that's where the money is.
Well, you know, it's going to be interesting when the New Zealand Road Racing Championships, the Motorcycle Trader and News Road Racing Championship resumes in a week's time. They go back to the road racing tracks around New Zealand. Slightly different mindset from the streets. But at the moment, the man on your screen is owning the streets. This is the Robert Holden Memorial. It's the closing stages of it, and they're not going to catch Jared Love.
Look at the crowd too, they're really into it, they're waving these guys on. Well, they love it.
You know, one of the beauties of the streets is you can virtually reach out and touch these guys.
And what I like too, you know, for 14 years it has never rained here. Unbelievable.
Checkered flag comes out. Robert Holden Memorial winner for 2005 punches the air. That is Hamiltonian Jared Love, the son of a famous father in Laurie. Laurie was a national champion. Jared is a champion as well. It runs in the family. Both of them come from a motocross background, and he has done it here at Paeroa. Love takes the win. Andrew Stroud is second. Tony Rees will finish in third place. In fourth, it's Brian Bernard. And in fifth, the first of the 600s, that is Craig Sheriff. Oh, Jared, that's the one you wanted.
Yeah, it's a huge privilege. I haven't sort of won most of the other classes on the streets, but I've never actually managed to pip the Robert Holden Memorial, which is a prestigious street event.
And you brained them.
Yeah. I told you I needed to get on the front row and get a start. I saw what Stroudy did, just get a good start and run away, and got a good start. It got off the line. My bike is just immaculate. We were having clutch problems. I sorted. My motor problems are over. My fitness was great, so I got a start. And then bit of clear track and thought, hey mate, catch me if you can, I'm going to run. And I ran as hard as I could and just couldn't catch it.
We'll be back with the bikes in Paeroa in a moment. First, taking the inside line on Motorsport News. A change in the MotoGP year. Brazil has been scrapped and replaced by the Turkish Grand Prix on October 23. Snow meant that final testing for some of the Formula One teams was interrupted. Hardly the sort of conditions to expect for Melbourne. Kiwi karter Mitch Cunningham has started his year well in Europe, qualifying for the Winter Cup meeting in Italy, qualifying in cold and damp conditions. In Formula One, Christian Klein is confirmed as the second driver for the Red Bull team alongside David Coulthard. All 20 seats are now decided. And in the V8 Supercars, Team Kiwi looking for a big year. A new engine builder, new engines, new technical partnership, increased budget. Paul Radicic in the car. Team Kiwi, one to watch this year as we return to Paeroa and the Battle of the Streets.
Welcome back to the streets of Paeroa for the Yamaha Battle of the Streets. And here's something a little bit different for you. This is the post-classics, the pre-1982 era. A lot of people call this the forgotten era, Paul.
Yeah, they do. It's quite amazing the different varieties of motorbikes you see in these races. There's 1,000cc Suzuki's. Greg Sharp's riding one there. That's the brother of Vince Sharp, the organiser of the track time days, and he's a man to watch.
Well, the other man to watch is Stephen Bridge. We've seen him so many times at Wanganui just get out and clear away on that Ducati. It really is a piece of work. The F1 Engineering sponsored machine from Hamilton. There he is, bike number 94. He knows how to ride it, and he always gets the best out of it.
Well, he certainly does know how to ride it, and it has to be the pick of the bunch around there. Out to handle any of these other bikes easily. Beautiful.
Perhaps we should mention that, Paul. How different is it to ride one of these bikes around here and to ride like a state-of-the-art 600 or 1,000cc machine?
Oh, quite different. These things have very, very narrow rims in comparison. The brakes are, well, to be honest, they're horrible in comparison to, triple piston modern brakes. They're quite powerful though. These bikes are around 140 horsepower that Suzuki 1000 would have. So they're not bad.
Well, you mentioned the brakes, and it looks like the Greg Sharp is making up all the distance on Mr. Bridge there with the brakes.
Yeah, no, he's doing a good job. The Ducal, I'm sure he's got it under control. If he needs to pick up the pace, he will. It's a far superior motorbike.
Look at the differences. Sharp is all over the machine. Heaps of body English as they work their way up Marshall Street into the Woolworths turn, and now breaking down for the Pirelli hairpin. The battle at the front, it's the Japanese machine on your screen at the moment. That's the Suzuki of Greg Sharp, but ahead of him, it's the European Exotica in the form of Stephen Bridge on the Ducati.
Where you see most of the difference, the modern bikes have got big box section aluminium frames, and these have got spindly little tubes. So, it might work okay on a modern Ducati where you haven't got a lot of weight, but these things weigh 200 odd kilograms, so they're really not up to it.
Well, that was the thing, wasn't it, in the early days? It was the flex of the frame that really affected the handling of these bikes.
That's right, and that's how Ken McIntosh made a market for himself, by building beautifully handcrafted race bikes.
And what a job he did of it, and continues to do as we watch this battle unfolding in front of us. This is Brett Grice from Paeroa on the Honda CB400. Now, it's not often you'll see a CB400 at the front of any race field, I would suggest, Paul.
No, that's quite a hot rod, actually. It's 500 cc's, and Econo Honda sponsor it. They're the spare parts people. Great, it really is a quick little motorcycle. And where this bike's strength is in its handling. It really does a fine job around the corners. Hasn't got a lot of power, so it's not twisting the chassis in half.
Colin Tate, well, there's a man with a fair bit of power underneath him. We've seen him in the classic era. That's the black leathers era, if you like, on his Norton. Well, today he is riding his GSX 750, doing a great job. The man from Tate Engineering in Wanganui.
Yeah, listen to this Ducati booming away around the track. Crowd love them.
I guess all these guys, a part of it is to dress in the period as well. You see Greg Sharp there in the Repsol leathers, probably on the day. 29 goes through the shot. This is Delm Young from Gisborne.
There's a great following too. It's a real lot of camaraderie in this class, the post-classic. Everybody helps each other. Although it's competitive, it's a great feeling to be involved in. And that bike, looking at it, reminds me of Wes Cooley back in the 80s.
Well, there's a name to conjure with, Wes Cooley. Wow. 57 through your shot there is Bernard Ryan from Wellington. The Thompson Electrical Services Motor Guzzi. So we've got all the brands out there, Paul.
Yeah, we sure have. And this class is just growing in stature. In fact, it's got the biggest entry list in all the meetings lately. It's great. I think it's just getting stronger and stronger.
I know when we looked down the entry list at Wanganui in the round one of Battle of the Streets, I think there was over 35 bikes in the forgotten era, the pre-82s. And we had some Australian visitors out there. Of course, they're not here today. It's all the Kiwi boys, and it's this man on your screen. Bike number 94, Stephen Bridge from Hamilton, doing the damage, doing the work at the front of the field, and coming through with consummate ease to win the Post Classics. Brought to you by Classic Hits. So there is a symmetry there because they're all about the 60s, 70s and 80s, and these guys are all pre-1982. Official results see Stephen Bridge take the win from Greg Sharp in second place on the Suzuki. In third it was Brett Grice, then it was Bernard Ryan, Delm Young, Russell Barker, Peter Dearness and Brian Craig. Well, from one of the old classes to one of the newest classes in international motorcycling, this is Supermoto, and it's brought to you by Subway. And, well, there's only one guy you got to look for, Paul, and that is the man on bike number 8, and that is Stephen Briggs.
Stephen Briggs, yep, the showman, and what a great job he does. The crowd just rushed to the corners to watch him back it in, and there he goes now, brilliant.
Well, if you've seen any coverage of MotoGP, you've seen the way Valentino Rossi rides his bike. Well, that's the way Stephen Briggs rides this big 660 KTM.
The crowd love it, don't they? I've actually ridden this bike and it's just a jet. It really is powerful. It's got 75 horsepower and it weighs, probably weighs 95 kilograms.
Well, they've worked their way up the back straight and the pit straight, if you like, for the first time. Maybe we've spoken a little bit too soon, Paul, because Paul Brown on the Husaberg has given him a bit of a run for the money there. That's bike number 23.
Well, I'm sure Stephen will pick up the pace when he needs to. He's just in a league of his own in this class, in my mind.
I talked to him just before the racing and I asked him the question. I said, you know, when we were at Wanganui, you're known for backing the bike in. You weren't too sideways there. And he said, yeah, but I've got a lot more used to the machine now. And there's a graphic example of it. Out comes the rear wheel. The back brake just locks it up for a moment. That sets him up into the turn. Brown through in second place. And I think it might be Brendan Code coming through in third. We'll watch that development with interest.
Brendan Code's been on fire today. I don't think I've ever seen him ride so good. He's just so motivated today. He's really got a fire in his belly. But these guys are going to have to watch out and keep their feet up because Stephen got in big trouble with the officials for putting his foot out before.
Well, you've got to wonder about some of the decisions, but we don't want to get into the politics of it. It's all about the racing. There is Paul Brown on the Husaberg.
That's a good-looking machine too, isn't it? 660?
That's one of the new ones, yeah. That's one of the new 630 Husabergs. Husaberg, of course, a collaboration many moons ago now with Husqvarna. Now, there's an old brand to conjure with, Paul.
See the smoke coming off the back tyre? Just love it.
So it is Briggs in the front, Brown through in second place. Then it is Code. And then I think you'd get a first glimpse at Craig Flood. Now, if you saw our coverage from Wanganui, you'll know that Craig Flood turned his CR450F, a brand new motorcycle, into a very expensive barbecue. All he needed was the sausages and the garnish, and he would have been complete. He's on his second bike here. This is his XR600cc machine.
Crikey, I bet you caught some rib over that over the weekend.
Well, I bet he cried some tears too. They're expensive, these things.
Yeah, he didn't. I don't think he knew it was on fire because he was just sitting there.
Brendan Stevenson is in the mix as well. In fact, him and Code just rubbing shoulders there as they work it out who's going to get the minors. This is a battle for second, third, fourth and fifth. Look at Flood, number 95. He's another one of these guys that never knows when he's beaten. Briggsy backs it in, and here comes Stevenson down the inside, takes the spot from Brown. That was a fantastic move.
It was just incredible. Now, this is something that I want to encourage all you young motocross boys. Get out and have a crack at it because you only need like a 1 or 2 year old motocross bike that's not competitive anymore on the dirt. Bring it out here and have a go.
Well, that's right. You don't need the latest and greatest of suspension. I know that the Supermoto National Championships start next week and they're going to have a dirt section. That's the way they do it in Europe. That's how they're going to do it here in New Zealand. Here, though, it's all about pleasing the big crowds, and we've got a big crowd here at Paeroa for the Yamaha Battle of the Streets, and this is one heck of a battle. This is the battle for the minors, if you like. Flood is in it. So too is Stevenson. So too is Brown. Already gone and up the road and disappeared is Stephen Briggs. But look at this.
Stephen Briggs. Wow, that was just great. He really is giving them a lesson, isn't he?
Well, another one giving them a lesson is Brendan Stevenson on the KTM 525. That is a special machine as well, but keeping them honest, as we told you before, got a great start. Paul Brown from Tikawata, and right in with him, originally out of Wanganui, these days New Plymouth, I think that is Craig Flood. And I guess we talk about Stephen Briggs and we say he's the perfect pedigree for Supermoto. He comes from a speedway background, junior motocross. He's a very, very accomplished and expert road racer. Well, Craig Flood the same. He came from a motocross background, a road racing background, and now he's found his feet here in Supermoto. motor.
You did right, Phil, and I just don't understand how Stephen Briggs hasn't made it big time. He's got all the skills. He's the right size. He's intelligent. You know, he's got the right recipe.
Well, he's mixed the cake well, if you like, here at Paeroa, because he's in command of this. But look at this battle for second, third and fourth. How many times have you seen Brendan Stevenson shut the door as they go through the Father's Tavern turn and up and over the top? That's what he's done for the last 3 laps to Craig Flood and also to Paul Brown.
Keep off the cement. You're going to end up in the hay bales. Nothing surer.
Well, I guess you'd know this as much as anyone, Paul. At least when these things get sideways, you've got a bit more handlebar, so you can maybe bring it back.
Yeah, you can wrestle with them a little bit, but, you know, the end result's still the same.
So Briggs through the hairpin. This is the battle for second, third and fourth. Stevenson's got it at the moment. This is Craig Flood on the XR600. This is his backup bike, if you like.
Beauty wheelie. That's a cracker.
Checkered flag comes out. Briggsy takes it. Stevenson will get through in second, and then I think it would have been Flood. In there too was Paul Brown from Tikawata, but no doubt about the champion, the big crowd pleaser, backs it in one last time. That is Stephen Briggs from Papakura. Second place is Brendan Stevenson. In third it is Flood, and in fourth Tikawata's Paul Brown. We know how fast the superbikes go down the front straight. We know how fast the sidecars go down the front straight. How fast do you go down the front straight?
I'd take an estimate. I'd probably be getting close to 200 k's an hour on this. Yeah. It's got enough power to pull it, so I'd say it'd be up there.
It's essentially a motocross bike. Well, the Heritage is a motocross bike. How comfortable is it at that sort of speed? It's
not too bad. I feel more safe riding this sort of thing than I would be riding a 1000cc bike or a Grand Prix bike, because it's got so much suspension travel, and it's a bit like a rally car. It can do a little bit of everything, and it just soaks up the bumps, and it's just easy to ride around here and fun.
Back to the Yamaha Paeroa Battle of the Streets, the second and final round of this championship, and this is the last time we get to see the sidecars. Brought to you by Coromandel FM, and away goes number 2. This is Phil Law and Angus Ravenswood. Now they're looking for the Battle of the Streets title, and they've got the blistering start once again. The good news though, Paul Pavlidis, is the Lawrence boys have got off the line. They're currently sitting in fourth.
Well, they've got to be happy now after the last fiasco, so this is good stuff. Let's see what they can do. See if they can get up there and mix it in that little 600 Yamaha.
Well, you know, I mentioned that Phil Law looking for the title. The reason he is looking for the title, of course, at Wanganui, Doug Shivers was all over them, but no Australians here this weekend, no Doug Shivers. So it looks like a bit of a clear run here for Phil Law and Angus Ravenswood. We're back on board here with the Lawrence brothers as they work their way up Marshall Street, and look at the way that Dave Annan puts the foot to the floor and just disappears. Oh, and how about that? He just about clipped the hay bales on the Woolworths turn.
He's in a hurry.
Oh, well, they said they had problems with the front end. I know that they were scrounging parts from some of the other rigs, but it looks like they've fixed that problem. I know he was disappointed with his first race. He told me so. But man, he's making amends for it here. Yeah, look at that, flashing through the kink.
Well, look what happened too. Because of that little bobble at the corner there, he lost all his cornering speed. He really has to carry that onto the front straight there, because, you know, he's 600-700cc down on the biggest engine out there.
So number 2 works his way into the S's for the second of 6. There is Dave Annan and Phil Duffy, and they're getting closer. It's not going to be a cakewalk for Phil Law and Angus Ravenswood from Gisborne.
It'll be a little bit easier around here than Wanganui on your arms too for the swingers. They've got a little bit of a chance to relax.
Well, I remember you mentioned that when we were doing the Wanganui coverage. You said it's a real physical beating for the swinger and the driver in these things.
Oh, yeah, these guys are athletes. There's no doubt about it. They're very, very strong in the upper body.
You know, so many people talk to us about motorcycling and they say, oh, you know, what are you worried about? The bike does all the work. But that is just so untrue.
It couldn't be further from the truth, actually.
Down past the Yamaha start-finish banner they come once again. This is the second and third battle we're watching unfold. Up ahead it is number 27, that's Dave Annan and Phil Duffy. Our camera machine is the next one through, bike number 10, and that is the Haldane Yamaha sponsored 600cc machine, straight out of Europe. Interesting to note that the rig out on the front, and that is Phil Law and Angus Ravenswood, built and maintained in Gisborne. Dave Gooch Spray Painters is their major sponsor. Talking with Phil Law, he tells me that, well, if the rumours come true and maybe Gisborne comes on board as round 3 of Battle of the Streets next year, they're going to build a separate rig just for the wear and tear that they get on the streets. Speaking of wear and tear, what about these blokes?
It's the good old boys, they're back.
Back on board here with the Lawrence brothers as they flash down the main street here at Paeroa. And there goes Dave Annan and Phil Duffy. There's a graphic example we talked about before about the horsepower difference. And look at them fast disappearing as they work their way into the farthest tavern turn once again. And we're riding with them, and what a shot it is. Oh, and Dave Annan's got it wrong, and they don't need to open the door too much for the Lawrence boys to go through, and that's exactly what's happened. Now watch how fast this rig, the 600cc rig, is through this part of the racetrack. Oh, Annan has a look on the inside. It doesn't work for them, and now they're going to pay the price because they've got to get off the throttle and regroup. Now, will they pick him up on the back straight, Paul?
No, Annan's going to have to wait for the front straight to get that Hayabusa into hyperspace.
Well, a 1300cc machine versus this machine, a 600cc machine. The Yamaha of Chris and Richie Lawrence in second place. Let's not take anything away from rig number 2. Phil Law and Angus Ravenswood, they're out in the front of this, but this is where the racing is at the moment. Second and third.
Well, they must have made a mistake then, that they're just dropping right back. They've either missed a gear or something's gone wrong because they've just dispatched them. They're gone.
74, Bruce Williamson comes through again, you know, and look at that, they just pitch it in, they get so close to the hay bales. We talk about them as if they're a bit of a curiosity. I can tell you, in 1972, that rig at the hands of Shorty de Melmont was a New Zealand champion winning rig.
Pedigree. And I'll tell you what too, it should be called Kodak Corner wherever they are, because all the cameras are lined up over the hay bales and they're flashing flat out.
Well, there'll be a few flashing for these guys as well. Phil Law and Angus Ravenswood out in the front. The Bollywood restaurant, the Dave Gooch spray painters machine. Once again, we're on board with the Lawrence boys, rounding up some of the lappers as they work their way down towards the Pirelli turn once again. Just up ahead of them, rig 42, that's John Blamere, has been around for a long time. Oh, and he wants to argue about it. Oh, there's a bit of contact there, and he was being lapped. Can you believe it?
The biff's on, Phil.
Well, it's come at the last lap of this for the sidecars because the checkered flag has already flown for Phil Law and Angus Ravenswood. In second place, it will be the Lawrence boys as we're on board with them there. Here are the crowd pleasers once again. A champion rig in 72. They're going to still have some fun here in Paeroa in 2005. Phil Law and Angus Ravenswood take the win and the Battle of the Streets title from the Lawrence brothers of Auckland and Dave Annan and Phil Duffy. Well, the last chance to see the best of the best here at the Yamaha Battle of the Streets on the streets of Paeroa. This is Formula Paeroa, their second and final race. And watch for number 1, Andrew Stroud. He's had a great day, both in Formula 2 on the 600 and on the big bike, but it'll put the kiss of death on him, Paul, because he gets a shocker of a start.
Yeah, and Lance Lowe's back out there on the Kawasaki as well after his earlier excursion.
Well, that's a feat in itself because I know they were talking about broken legs and all sorts of things like that. I was talking to Lance before this race. He was struggling to get his racing boot on.
Oh, he's a tough Aucklander, Phil.
Well, there's a few of them in this field, but the man in front isn't from Auckland. He's a Waikato man. That is Jared Love. We saw him win the Robert Holden Memorial. Will he win this one as well? If he does, well, it will cap a fantastic day for him, and it'll cap a big comeback.
I want to see some fireworks from Tony Rees because by his standards, you know, he's a 7-time winner. He's had a reasonably quiet day. So let's see what he can do in this one.
Once again, he suffered from a bad start. He started off the second row. Bit of fireworks going on behind Love, though. That is Andrew Stroud on the brother Suzuki. Right in behind him, it is Brian Bernard on the number 3. Then we go back to 99, Lance Lowe. And maybe as he comes into the braking area, maybe that foot's just getting a bit too much because he's dropping down a little bit now, Paul.
Yeah, it's got to be hurting. And what a shame Bruce Anstey hasn't managed to compete today. He had a little bit of machine trouble early in the day.
Well, that's right. The bike was continuously dropping out of second gear, and they tried to fix it between the break after the Robert Holden, and they just couldn't get it done. So hopefully Bruce, and for all his fans, he'll be back to his best when the Road Racing Championship resumes in a week or two. Meantime, we've got action aplenty here because Andrew Stroud is whittling away at the lead of Jared Love as they work their way out of the Pirelli hairpin. Number 1 is Stroud, 69 is Jared Love, 3 is Brian Bernard. Just got a glimpse of the blue and yellow leathers of Tony Rees. So you're going to get your wish here, Paul. Yep. He's going to be there.
Here comes Rees, that Yamaha afterburners, those 2 big beautiful aluminium pipes sticking out the back. Flamethrower, you watch this thing grunt up the straight.
Well, plenty of fireworks at the front of the field too as they work their way into the S's. Suzuki on Honda. Suzuki down the inside. Honda shuts the door. This is Brian Bernard these days. Well, he does double duty, doesn't he, Paul? I mean, he's a racer par excellence, but he's also a team manager. He's the head mechanic. He's a chief cook and bottle washer for the Bernard Racing team.
Yeah, he told me it's impacting his racing. He's got so much on his plate. He's looking after the young team Suzuki. You know, he hasn't got a lot of time to focus on his job as well as a racer. So, be interested to see if he does it next year.
Well, he's got the best seat in the house in the racing at the moment because he's watching the battle with Andrew Stroud and Jared Love. Stroud up the inside, makes the pass, or does he? He runs a little bit wide, and Jared Love comes right back at him and says, "Not this time, my friend." Love continues to lead it, and because these two are battling, the rest of the field have caught up. We're on board here through the S's with Jared Love out onto Marshall Street, winding up the big Honda.
What a difference a bit of compression makes. Those pistons, that motor sounds deeper and gnarlier.
Through the Woolworths turn they come, down through the gearbox, hard on the brakes, front and rear, as they work their way into the Pirelli hairpin, and then down Belmont Road. This is the main street, 260 kilometres an hour. Don't bother about stopping at the dairies, don't bother about slowing down for the kink, but now brake hard for the right-hander, which is the Father's Tavern turn.
You better brake in a hurry.
And Stroud's gone by him. What about that? The inside this time. He changes tack and he makes the pass stick.
I think that's the best line, actually, up the inside. If you run up too wide, every time a coconut, these guys are going to shoot up the inside.
Well, we've got the best seat in the house. I said Brian Bernard was watching the racing. What about this? Sitting on the fork leg of the CB 1100R Honda of Jared Love, chasing down Andrew Stroud out in the front on the Suzuki.
Look at Stroud, his long legs, just scraping his Teflon knee scraper on the ground. Beautiful stuff. Good coverage.
Andrew Stroud in the front, 69. Love in second place. We said we wanted to see Tony Rees. He's gone past Brian Bernard. He's now up into third spot. There he is. You just got a glimpse of the blue and yellow leathers and the bike. The Yamaha R1 currently sitting in third. As we told you, not making excuses for Tony Rees, but because he didn't race at Wanganui, he had to start every single race on the second row. Couldn't get the blistering starts of the guys in front of them, but maybe he can chase them down.
Suzuki, Honda, Yamaha. It's all on, and there you go, the big power slide from Jared Love. He's really desperate to get the drive to catch up to Stroudy.
Well, Jared Love would love to cap the day with another win here. He's won the Robert Holden, and that was his main objective, and he'd love to win the Formula Paeroa last race of the day. And look at this, Paul. The big crowd have stayed. They've seen some exciting racing here at Paeroa, as they always do. This is the 14th running of the event. You mentioned before it's never rained. They haven't moved.
They haven't. And look at Rees. I knew he'd catch up. He's so focused. He won't want to leave here without a good result. He's had a bit of a shock by his standards. He's had a crash and, what, a third.
Well, that's right. It's been a day of mixed fortunes for Tony Rees, Paeroa's favourite son, sitting in third. We're on board with a man in second place. The fast disappearing dot, working his way up Marshall Street at over 200 kilometres an hour, is Andrew Stroud.
And Tony's the lap record holder around here as well. They've been in the high 45s. That's a pretty impressive lap time.
Well, we mentioned it before, it's so different from Wanganui. Wanganui's got the tradition of over 50 years of competition and the 1 mile circuit, but this, well, it is just flat out speed. And this battle is a beauty. Number 43 there just going through, that's Barry Long from Palmerston North. He's not going to play too much of a part in this one, I don't think, as the fast boys start to come up on him at double quick time.
He's going to get mugged any second now.
Well, luckily it was on a straight, so maybe there's not going to be too much loss of time there, because we're on board with a man sitting in second place, and right in behind him, just tapping on the door, is Tony Rees.
Look at the track conditions. You can see how hot it is too. The track's glistening.
Well, the boys were saying between races that the tar was starting to melt in the kink, and that's that sort of left-right flip-flop, if you like, just halfway down the front straight. Factor in the fact that they're doing 260 kilometres an hour, I beg your pardon. Here we are, a graphic example of it. Across the finish line they go. This is the kink. They hardly button off. They just tap the brakes to set the bike up. Andrew Stroud in the front. Here comes Tony Rees down the inside. Can he make it stick? Jared Love said no. I'm going to shut the door. You'll have to try something different.
It's not over yet.
Oh, make no mistake about it. We've seen it in years past. Tony Rees, it's his favourite circuit. He loves it here. He's won so many times. He always puts on a fantastic show. Is he going to pick up Jared Love? And are they both going to pick up Andrew Stroud?
Well, I don't think they're going to catch Andrew Stroud. He's in a league of his own here in this race. He's gone.
And there goes Tony Rees right round the outside of Jared Love as they work their way through the right-hander that is the Woolworths turn. Through the hairpin they go now. Rees on the R1 Yamaha. And behind him, the bike we ride on, that is Jared Love. This is the battle for second and third. Paul mentioned it, Andrew Stroud, he is gone.
I can't tell you how brave that was. That is a very tight cambered corner, and it tightens right up on itself. And Tony Rees rode right round the outside of Jared Love.
and it's got him into second place. Love back into third. Then further back it's Brian Bernard. But this man, well, he commanded it earlier on. He's doing it again. He did it in Formula 2, and now he is doing it in the final race of the day, and that is the Formula Paeroa. Andrew Stroud, great to see him back. A lot of people were saying that he wasn't the force he was last year. He's the New Zealand Superbike champion. He's a force wherever he goes.
Well, only the ill-informed Phil would call Stroudy spent.
Well, he's not a spent force, and he's riding on prototype road tyres. He's going to get the checkered flag. He's going to win the last race of the day. Andrew Stroud is back, no mistake of that. In second place, it will be Tony Rees, so he's back as well. And in third, it's Jared Love. So it's a comeback of sorts at the Paeroa Battle of the Streets, brought to you by Yamaha.
Starting on the second row has been difficult today, and I guess it's given other guys a chance to have a go, and I'm really getting out there and shining. And yeah, I've had to come through the pack, and it's been hard work, but the racing was good, and it was good to get the Yamaha up there.
And just